So there's no question that the Fraser Valley real estate market has slowed. You've heard it everywhere, you've seen it on the news, the board's talking about it. But what does this mean for 2026? And more importantly, what does it mean for the spring? And so we're going to get into all of the information that's available to us. I'm going to have some predictions on what I think the spring is going to look like. And at the very end, I'm going to show you two real estate tools that I think are an absolute game changer when it comes to figuring out the real estate market. So stick around for that. But first off, I want to talk about the home prices. And so this is the benchmark home prices. This is home prices across the detached, the attached, and the condo market. And that's really what I want to do first, is just talk about the market as a whole, and then get more specifically into the detached, attached, and condos. And so first thing here, like I said, the benchmark home prices. January's data just came out because we're obviously in February now. And as you can see here, ever since 2024 here, prices have been slowly sliding downwards. And my predictions for the spring is we're most likely going to see something similar to 2025 and 2024 is my predictions here. But I want to move on to new listings here. We're seeing regular listings, new listings, I should say, hit the market for the beginning of 2026. As you can see, last year and the previous year before, they followed each other almost to a T. So with not great certainty, but with more certainty, we can suggest that something similar is going to happen. And then we have the total inventory, which again, we're actually higher than we were from 2025 and 2024. And so there's lots more, I should say lots more, but there's more listings hitting the market. And then sales, this is the big one here. So we have more inventory, we have more new inventory, we have more listings, but the sales is the key pivotal thing here that we're going to be watching really closely as 2026 unfolds. And as you can see right off the get-go, we're already down a substantial amount. Month over month, we're 32% down. Year over year, we're 24% down on sales. And that's a significant amount. So this is, like I say, it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. But I just want to give you a snapshot. This is the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board when it comes to sales or active to sales ratio. And right here, as you can see, buyers, balance, and sellers market, what the board states, and this is kind of a metric that most boards use across North America, is that when it's over 20%, it is a seller's market. When it's between 20 and 12%, it's a balanced market. And below 12%, it's a buyer's market. And so basically for every 100 homes that hit the market, that are available, only, right now it's sitting at 8%. And so that's only 8 homes are selling. We haven't seen it this low really since 2012, 2013. There was the dip there when COVID first started. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it recovers, because every spring, every summer, it tends to increase. And so, but it's kind of a tell sign of what's happening currently here in the market. But this is the next section that I wanted to share with you, breaking down what's happening in the detached market, then the attached, and then the condos. And then I'm going to give my 2 cents on what I think is happening, depending if you're a buyer or seller, and what you should do. And then I'm going to show you those 2 real estate tools. So make sure you stick around for that. But this is the medium home price. As you can see, we're right down on the red here, substantially less than the 2025 and 2024 prices. Basically, looking at here, $1,285,000 is the medium home price. Again, prices have continued to fall down 4%. Sales 191, so there's not much sales happening. But this is the more important number that I'm looking at here: sales to active listings ratio. And so the board was saying it was a balanced market, but truly, we knew that it wasn't, just because it was the time of season or time of year within the season. And so right now we're sitting at 7.5% sales to active listings ratio. And as you can see, the trend here slightly going downwards. I imagine that we're going to see something similar where it's a balanced, if not slight, decline here come 2026. But now moving on to the residential attached. Again, same thing is happening here right off the get-go. We're quite a bit lower than we than really 2024 and 2025. And so we're most likely going to see this similar trend going downwards. We've seen less sales, which is normal, right? There's less. And I think that's something to think about here, is that, you know, when we see these numbers, oh, it's substantially less, it's like, look out. It's like, well, no, we got to compare it to the seasonal average, right? So the seasonal average of sales is always going to be less during the winter months. Nobody wants to do anything. But what's interesting is that this sector, the residential attached market, so townhomes and row homes, actually went up last year. And we're going to see the condos here in a second. And then the last one being sales to active listings ratio, which is sitting at 12%. So just on the border of being a buyer's market. And so that's what's going on in the attached market. But the last segment that I wanted to talk about is condos. And this one right here, similar thing. The median home price is substantially lower. It's almost 10% lower than the previous 2 years. And so it's, as we can see across the board, prices are going down. We're sitting at the average price, or the average median home price is $465,000. It's continuing to trend downwards. Less sales, a bunch more listings, or should I say active listings, because again, we are sitting for this time of year the most amount of active listings for the past, quite a few years. And then the sales to active listings ratio sitting at 10%. So it's going to be a buyer's market. So the only segment that's really seen some life is the townhomes segment. So keep that in mind when you're out there looking at shopping or selling your property. But I just want to touch base on what the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board has been saying here. And then again, we're going to get into what I think buyers and sellers should do. And then those two real estate tools that I've been talking about here. But the Fraser Valley home prices back to pandemic era levels under weight of economic headwinds and sustained inventory. And so prices, as we've seen there, have continually to decline. Basically from, 2023 is when the correction kind of leveled out. And now we're kind of creeping back towards pandemic era levels, as I say here. And so home prices in the Fraser Valley fell for the 10th consecutive month in January, pushing back benchmark prices below $900,000 for the first time since 2021. So kind of tease up with that heading there. January opened the year with negligible momentum, said the chair of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Prices continue to weaken, while at the same time, selection remains high. We've seen that. Under normal market dynamics, these would be considered highly favorable conditions for buyers. However, the uncertainty of the past year or so continues to loom, subduing buyer confidence and muting overall market activity. And so we've seen that the current listings are at the highest for this time of year, and these sales are like 30% less for this time of year. And so it kind of pairs up. Only overall inventory remains above seasonal norms, which I just mentioned for the Fraser Valley. 7,711, up 11% from December, and 54% above the 10-year seasonal average. The Fraser Valley remains firmly in a buyer's market with an overall sales to active listings ratio of 8%. We've seen that as well. Down 5% from December. There was more activity during that month and less inventory, and so that kind of makes sense. A balanced market is typically defined by a ratio of 12 to 20%. Yeah, nothing to add there. Across the Fraser Valley in January, the average number of days to sell a single-family home was 55 days, while condo was 53 days. Townhomes took 50 days as well to sell. So it's just something to think about, that homes are taking a little bit longer to sell these days. Now, it doesn't mean that homes that are priced well and are of a product that people want, those do sell quickly. I literally have an accepted offer on a property that met those requirements, and there's a backlog of people trying to get the home. And so it's something to think about as well. Affordability challenges facing many households today extend well beyond housing costs alone, said the CEO of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Rising day-to-day expenses combined with wages that have not kept pace have created significant financial pressure. As a result, potential buyers are choosing to be more circumspect with respect to purchasing decisions and are working with realtors to develop timing strategies to meet their long-term objectives. So there's no question that there's more things to think about. There's more uncertainty, and especially with rolling into 2026 here, people are like, what's going to happen here? And so that kind of leads me into our next point here is, what does this actually mean for you? So we've gone over a whole bunch of information here. So if you're thinking about buying here in 2026, this is my words of wisdom for you. And so if you're, lots of newer listings will hit the market soon. Now, this is what seasonally happens. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, what actually happens. But when we look at the past data, every single spring, more listings hit the market. So you're going to have more options, essentially. Increased activity is coming. Increased activity in the coming months. Again, right now, nobody really wants to buy a house. It's rainy, it's wet. It's actually been quite a more lukewarm spring, or I should say, or winter, I should say. So that's been fun. But there's going to be more activity and more people coming out of the woodworks to wanting to do something, because that's just seasonally what happens. And then prices are trending down. They will probably see an increase come the spring. Now, the interesting part is going to see, like, are we actually going to see an increase? Because again, we're going off historical data here. My guess is there's going to be a slight uptick in price trending, but is it really going to move the whole market? I don't think so. And the last one here is just still important to get pre-approved. There's a lot more restrictions. I wouldn't say a lot more restrictions, but there's just more things that the banks are wanting these days. There's more things that lenders are wanting. And so it's always just so important to get pre-approved ahead of time. At least know the number, before you start going out and looking at homes, because the last thing you want to do is go through all of this work, all of this process, only to find out that you can't afford the home, or you have to reduce your expectations and go for a cheaper home. So keep that in mind. But if you're thinking about selling here in 2026, these are the words of wisdom I have for you. And so the first one here, price it right from the start. Like I mentioned in that story of mine, that house came on the market and me and my buyers, we got in there right away and we got an accepted offer, is that if the home is priced right and marketed properly, and it's a product that people want, in an area people want, well, the house is going to sell. There's enough evidence out there to suggest that. So that's number one. And then you need to make your home stand out, because right now, as we've seen in the data there's more active listings than usual. I think it was like more than the 10-year average or something like that. So we want to make your home stand out by the way we present it, the way we market it, because what you'll find is that you're driving down the street and there's so many homes for sale. So what's going to make yours stand out? And it's really going to come down to when people walk in the door, is there anything broken? Has it been well taken care of? There's a whole bunch of other things that I'd be happy to get into if you wanted to have a conversation. But that's one of them. The next one here is be ready for more activity. And so what we're going to see here is more people are going to be coming out of the woodworks, because naturally that's just what happens. Spring comes and people get excited and they want to go do things. So there's going to be more activity. But then it also brings up to the next point is there's going to be more competition as well. And so there's going to be more buyers. There's going to be more sellers as well. Everyone's thinking the same thing, is like, well, I don't want to put my house up, during the winter months. So I'm going to try with the springtime, because that's when it's going to make more sense for me to move. And so what we're going to see is more activity, more competition, and that really results in just stay flexible in your terms. People who are willing to negotiate and be a little bit flexible are the ones that are going to have success here in the early spring here. Now, as always, I'm always curious on what you think is going to happen as well. Again, these are just my 2 cents and how I interpret the data, because everybody interprets it slightly differently and has their own different experience when it comes to the real estate market. And so let me know your thoughts there. But now to the part I wanted to get to is these 2 real estate tools. So here's the first one. What's my home worth? Zero conversation home evaluation. All you got to literally do is scan this QR code. It leads you to a landing page on my website. And essentially you put the information in, and then what it'll do is it'll automatically send you a home evaluation instantly, like within a matter of seconds. So we're going to try it here. But why you would want to use this, if you're thinking about buying a property and you're curious on what this thing thinks the home is worth, because what it does is grabs comparable souls, comparable actives, and it spits out a number. There's a little bit of AI involved as well. Or if you're thinking about selling your house, you can literally put it in there, get an idea of what your home could potentially sell for in today's market. And so I'm literally going to scan this QR code right here. So as you can see here, what's my home worth? Get your home value in under 10 seconds. And so what I want to do here is we'll just quickly load up realtor.ca, see what's going on here. And as you can see here, we got a whole bunch of listings here in Abbotsford. And so I'm going to click on this one right here. Again, no connection to this property whatsoever. I'm going to copy the address, and then literally going to put it into here. Add my email. Okay, let's quickly do that. Phone number, and basically hit send. And so if I check my inbox here we go. We have it listed for $945,000, with the high side of being, $978,000. And so that's what it thinks it's worth. But here we are, yeah, $979,000. How long has it been on the market for? So 117 days. So this, this assessment here is probably pretty close to what it's worth. So that's a cool little tool you can go check out. Again, I do get your information. So myself or someone from my team will reach out to you. If you don't need any help, I'll go on my way. But if you do need some help, or my 2 cents on what I think you should do, because everybody's situation is so different, I can do that. And then the second tool that I wanted to talk about here is the Homeowner Advantage. And it's really a program that I've been developing over the past, really quite a few months to half a year. And there's a whole bunch of great things in there for homeowners who want to get the upper hand on the market, upper hand on just being able to take care of their home, which is really the biggest asset that most people will own. So what's inside here, just on the right here, or left, sorry, monthly market updates. So like this one, if you want to stay up to date with what's happening here in the real estate market, I can directly send you videos just like this one. And the next one here is access to my newest video. So I come out with other content as well around real estate, around multi-generational living. So if that's of interest to you, you can sign up for that as well. And then we have the annual home review. And so this is where I sit down with you in person, go over what your home is valued at in today's market so you can better make decisions for your life and for your family. So it's pretty valuable, I would say. And then the last one here being the home stewardship program, where I send out seasonal reminders, seasonal maintenance tips on how to take care of your home, whether it's a house, a townhome, and a condo, because each of those require different levels of service, really just to allow you to take care of your home in the way it should be taken care of. So what I want you to do, if you're interested at all, you can scan this QR code. As you can see here, this page here, you can literally put in your information, tell me what you want, what you don't want, hit submit. So if that's of interest to you, go check that out. Now, if you are looking at homes, checking them out, going to open houses, all that fun stuff, I want to encourage you to watch this video right here. It's how to spot a bad house in under 60 seconds, where I go over things that you should be looking for when you're going to look at homes. So go check that one out. But as always, I appreciate you watching, sticking around with me, and I'll see you in the next one.